Ladies and gentlemen, there is one debate that deeply divides working class India. Should India, like a handful of other countries, give a green light to period leave? Spain did so earlier this year. Japan has had it since the year India became independent, 1947. Kerala, if you remember, has started giving its female students menstrual leave since early this year, if required. Now, the issue was back in focus when the Women and Child Minister of the country, Smriti Irani, responding to a question, made the government's stand on the issue very clear. The union minister said, mensuration is not a handicap and it doesn't warranty a paid leave policy.
Question is that what measures are in place to make compulsory provisions for employers to grant certain number of paid menstrual leaves to female employees? Thank you, sir.
Minister.
Sir, as the gentleman would concede that as a menstruating woman, I can very particularly in this house say, menstruation and a menstrual cycle is not a handicap. Neither it's a natural part of a woman's life journey. Given that women today are opting for more and more economic opportunities, I will just put my personal view on this, sir. I'm not the officiating ministry. We should not propose issues where women are in some way denied an equal opportunity just because somebody who does not menstruate has a particular viewpoint towards menstruation.
Question is
now, while the Minister for Women and Child Welfare was very clear on her stand, turns out that the Health Minister of the country hasn't exactly made up his mind on the issue. The Ministry of Personnel, as Smriti Irani just mentioned, has very clearly said that the decision on menstrual leave will be taken by the Health Ministry. Health Minister Mansukh Mandaviya, in an exclusive conversation with Times Network, has said the government is discussing the issue with the ICMR.
What is your view on that, sir? Demand for paid menstrual leaves.
आज महिलाओं को प्रेगनेंसी लीव मिल रही है, उसमें हमने बढ़ोतरी की है और मेंस्ट्रुअल लीव उसके लिए ICMR और हमारे मिनिस्ट्री के बीच में वो एक स्टडी कर रहा है, क्या करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए, उसके आधार पर डिसीजन आगे हो सकता है.
No decision taken yet.
No.
Now, to put it simply, like in the rest of urban India, there is a debate within the government as well. And the debate is a valid one. Is period leave liberating? After all, it recognizes the realities of our bodies and seeks to support them. Or is it a policy that disincentivizes hiring women? Is it more about inclusion then, or about exclusion? In India, the matter, in fact, even reached the Supreme Court. But the Chief Justice of India called it a policy matter. It was the Chief Justice of India who in February this year asked the petitioner to approach the Women and Child Ministry. He also said that menstrual leave may discourage women employment. Just some figures here. According to a government report, female labour force participation in this country has improved slightly by 4.2% and now stands at 37% this year as compared to 32.8% in 2022. Is there a fear that women may misuse these leaves? Well, a research has been done by Team Leaves on this very question, and it has been done with more than 32,000 women. And that research indicates that only approximately 13.8% of women respondents availed menstrual leave options, out of which only 3 to 4% took the leave repeatedly, which means approximately 80% did not avail the option at all. And in a country like Japan, where period leaves have been available since 1947, that is exactly the experience Japan has had in the last 70 years as well, that there are barely a handful, a minute percentage of women who actually take menstrual leaves, women who simply cannot do without it. But the debate continues. Vinesh Menon is CEO Ampersand Group. He's joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much. Rituparna Chakrabarti, co-founder, Team Lease. Thank you very much. And Alankrita Pandey, founder and managing trustee, joining us on the broadcast as well. You're the founder manager at Titli. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Rituparna, first, since I did mention, mention the research that Team Lease has done, what is it that you've actually found in your research? I understand that there is a small percentage of women who will require period leaves over and over again every month, which goes on to show that concern about women misusing period leaves really doesn't exist. That concern is misplaced.
Thanks, Shreya, for having me on the show. Just to give you a broader perspective on the particular issue, I'm not really sure what the debate is. The fact that menstruation is not a handicap is obvious. The fact that it's not a sickness is obvious. The issue here is that it's a challenge that certain women face while others don't, which means it's a reality for some
Correct.
people and it isn't for others. The bigger matter here is that even in the 7 countries where it's been implemented, and you yourself quoted Japan, I can give you another example of South Korea. Japan, I think it was implemented in 1942, if I'm not mistaken, quite some time back. There has been a trend wherein the number of women actually availing that policy has kept going down. So is the case in South Korea. And these are the 2 examples I know of. Let's now try and understand what it is that actually women want. There are much bigger issues that women face at workplaces in India. And rather than focusing our energies in trying to solve those issues and focus on issues of inclusion of women in the workplace, because to be honest, if there are more women in workplace, we wouldn't even be discussing this. We wouldn't be even thinking about making it easier for women to actually seek help or take leave when they're genuinely in need of it, right? I mean, because the ecosystem itself will be sensitized to this cause. I think this doesn't, and also women need flexibility. For example, a woman who's menstruating and has physical ailments, or rather she has cramps or she feels pain, that person needs that leave. But there could be another woman who needs leave, right? But to go and watch her son play football, let's say, in school on one particular day. I personally feel that larger part of corporate India, which is right now focusing on more inclusion for women, are trying to not get very myopic in terms of defining leave. For example, you have a bucket of sick leave, you have a bucket of casual leave, and you have a bucket of special leave. Without creating too much discrimination, they're saying, okay, you're creating special leaves for women, but what about us men? You're creating this cohort so that people can use it based on their need, their circumstances. And that's the reason why there have been few startups which kind of came out with this policy and implemented it. But the larger ecosystem of sectors or industries which have high women participation, for example, financial services, technology, they do not have such policies, yet women are there at the workplace and they find a healthy working environment and they without any hesitation. So I guess this is a topic which people are choosing to discuss, but honestly, women have bigger issues and battles, which and our attention and efforts need to be diverted towards than this.
Fair point. Fair point. Point is, our parliamentarians are debating it and talking about it. We need to talk about it as well. Because as I said, this is something that deeply divides not just corporate India, but, boardrooms across this country. Alankrita Pandey, then why this insistence on period leave? The simple solution is, there are sick leaves that are available to every employee, male and female. You're not feeling like you can go to work. And God knows that there are many women who have a problem on day 1, day 2 of their periods, and God knows there are some women who have absolutely smooth periods who don't need that leave. Every employee has a bucket of sick leave. Just take a sick leave. Why this insistence on period leave?
Actually, that's a very nice question. To answer that, see, there are many women, many menstruators out there who don't just suffer from periods in general, but there are many other conditions that are attached to the same. For example, condition like endometriosis, adenomyosis, or dysmenorrhea in general. A very large group of females are affected by dysmenorrhea. Now, dysmenorrhea is a condition where a menstruator experiences a lot of cramps, not just during their periods, but before it as well. We are very well aware of conditions like PMS, premenstrual syndrome, where a menstruator experiences a lot of mood swings and cramps and nausea and whatnot. So why the question, which is about why take a menstrual leave if you can take a special leave? A special leave can be about anything. If we talk about mental health, some people have some mental issues as well, and they would like to take special leave during that case. So if a person, and roughly 42 million women in India are affected by endometriosis in itself, and this figure that I'm talking about, most of them are not even aware about their condition. That is the kind of
नहीं,
taboo that is attached.
Alankrita, but what is the problem if women who can't get out of bed on day 2 of their periods availing sick leave? What's the problem in that? What's the need, I'm asking you, for having a special period leave? That's the simple question I'm asking you.
Because a special leave is not as same as menstrual leave, if I tell you. Menstrual leave should be there. Like, there are many countries, as you mentioned, like Japan, Spain, and Spain has been the first country in Europe to promote menstrual leaves. But there's a difference between sick leave. A person cannot be taking sick leave, every month continuously. Then their employer might question things, and not everyone's comfortable in sharing things, right? It's their personal choice. So why not a menstrual leave? Like, if it's not much of a problem, then why not?
Vinesh Menon, as someone who hires people, as someone who hires women as well, respond to what Alankrita is saying. She's saying, no, sick leave is different. Period leave is something we need because it's a recognition that every month many women in this country go through something that is debilitating, that disallows them to come to work. Period leaves, do they become then in that case inclusive, or is it something that is exclusive? Where employers will say, rehne do, let's not employ them. If they're going to be away 2 days a month, just chhod do.
Okay, thank you, Shreya. And I can clearly see that I'm outnumbered by women on this panel, and I hope my views don't get shut down. But I've heard both the previous panelists, and I tend to go with what Ms. Chakrabarti has said. And I genuinely do not agree with what Ms. Alankrita has said. And let me tell you why. We run education institutions, and nearly about 60 to 70% of our employees are women. And the teaching community, to a large extent, they are women employees. Now, we have spoken, informally, formally to women employees in the past. As an employer, as a supervisor, as a family man, as a brother, I've had conversations with multiple women on this subject, and the resounding answer which I'm getting to this particular query is why men what I'm broken. I mean, look, the fact is that today's women are seen as progressive. Today's women are like many of them have said, and there's some great data that Ms. Chakrabarti brought to the table. A lot of women want to get into the inclusion platform, equal opportunities. And I want to specifically talk about a particular point that Ms. Alankrita talked about. She said it's a personal choice and one may not want to really talk about it. Hey, you know what? If you have a menstrual leave, you'll end up actually breaking your privacy. You're actually letting the entire HR and everybody know that you're taking leave because of your of those days in the month. And isn't that therefore really breaking the privacy? So I don't think it's really required. I think there is a very sane set of laws that are already in place. There are sick leaves. Tomorrow you can have a situation where the male, the lady's spouse might say, look, I also need a leave because I need to take care of my spouse at home. This can just get into a complete, and let's not forget, today we are in a very different era from what it was in the past. Today's employer-employee relationships are not like the slave and master, which was existing in the past. It's a very modern era. Employees are far more amenable to understanding situations. You've got work from home culture. You've got situations where, if I just feel a little unwell for the moment, I can just go to my, immediate supervisor and taken off. So these are all existing. So in such a situation, to try and drive this little extra focus around this one area, I don't think I don't think it'll be progressive. And I'm not saying this because I have the greatest of respect for women. I'm saying this in the interest of bringing in a certain equal platform in the way we all work today.
Okay, Vinesh, can I ask you if there is a fear about period leave being misused? Because data from Korea, data from Japan, even the data that Team Lease has collected from here in India seems to suggest that not really. There'll be barely 2 to 3% women who will be, if at all, taking period leave every month. Otherwise, it's just a rare one-off, maybe once in 6 months, maybe once in 4 months.
Sure. So what is the question? Sorry, I lost your voice. I got the data. What is the question?
Vinesh, my question is there a fear, as far as employers are concerned, about period leaves being misused? Because the experience from Japan, Korea, and the limited data that we have in India seems to suggest otherwise, seems to suggest that it's barely 2 to 3% women who will actually ask for period leave month after month. Most women simply won't.
No, I can't talk for all employers, but I don't think the ethos of the reason that I'm mentioning today is because of the fear that they will be misused. That way, anything can be misused. A woman can say that I'm having a headache today and decide to sit at home. A man can say the same thing. So this is not, centered around specific gender. The human workforce can use excuses if he or she wants, and there's no way that one can probably check on that. So that is not really the key reason why this should not be there. I think the key reason is to not really create this little unwarranted differentiation, which I don't think the women folk of today really would appreciate it.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment, but this is a conversation we tend to have often, not just here in offices, seems in Parliament as well. So thank you very much. It was good to hear all your views. It's always good to hear different views. Vinesh Menon, thank you very much. We'd never shut your views out. That's not what we do here at Vinara. Rituparna Chakravarti, thank you very much. And Alankrita, good to have you on the show as well. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. Good night. Have a good weekend. Too early to say, I guess. It's only Thursday today. All right. See you. Nivedana is joining you up next with the day's top stories. Do stay with us.